We are so glad to have you here. And so today is a little bit of the a meet the IDOVS leadership team. And so we just kind of wanted to take a moment to there's been so many awesome things going on with IDOVS, and we wanted to make sure that you guys have all the information as well as resources, network connections, all those great things to help you guys be successful, to be able to work better and do the things that you guys volunteer managers do so well. And so we wanted to share a little bit about who we are as your leadership team and to offer any opportunities that we can to help serve you guys. So we're going to get started here with little old me. Hi. So my name is Amanda Schneider, and I don't expect anybody to get my last name right. It's totally fine. It's German. You can blame my husband on that one. So I am the Biomedical Volunteer Engagement Rep 2 is my fancy title for the American Red Cross of Idaho and East Oregon. And I'm also your chair for this group. So just a little bit about me. So I have been doing volunteer management for almost 15 years now. I just started off as a little assistant and have moved up in the world, I guess you could see. Oh, is anybody else seeing the screen? Oh, nope, we're not. Okay, hang on one second here. Let me try again. I thought I had it. How about now? Still not.
Do you want,
okay.
You already sent it to me. Do you want me to try to share it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and try that there, Stephanie. For some reason, I don't know why, but then again, my Wi-Fi has been giving me problems this morning too, so it's been all kinds of fun. Right, I'm seeing it there.
Yeah, you guys can all see it. Okay, thanks.
Yes, but not the presentation portion, just like in the deck. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so if you can go to the next slide then. Awesome. There we go. Thank you. Appreciate that, Stephanie. Yay, Stephanie to the rescue. All right, there we go. So is everybody seeing that okay now? Thumbs up, we're good? Awesome. Okay, I'm seeing some nods and some thumbs up. Perfect. All right, so I joined the IDOVS leadership as the secretary sometime around 2012. So I've been part of this group for a very long time. It made a significant difference in learning and being able to connect and becoming a volunteer manager in this area. It made a huge difference for me. And so, I'm happy to be able to continue on this work in a different role to be able to offer to you guys the same opportunities that I got when I joined. Back when it was little old Southwest Idaho Directors of Services, and we've expanded so much. I have served as a volunteer coordinator engagement rep for the Red Cross for almost 4 years, for almost 5 years now, actually. We served the blood drive 4 different states. Fun fact about me, I am neurodivergent. I've struggled with ADHD since I was in the 4th grade. So it's always kind of fun when there's a lot of things going on in the brain. Anybody else who's ADHD will kind of hold in what it's like. And I also teach this class at my local YMCA 2 times a week. Some of my accomplishments: 2018 Excellence in Volunteer Administration Award winner. I did obtain my CVA certification in 2019, just renewed that here this last year. I have a certification in human rights since 2020. I was a board member for the Association of Leaders in Volunteer Engagement, which we are partner with here. We are one of their member organizations. And I currently serve on the Alive Local Association Committee. Next slide. Some of my areas of expertise. One of the things that I've taught for many years is active listening. So I love teaching this. It's something that I learned years back, and just it impacted the way that I work with volunteers and the way I develop my programs. And it made such a huge impact that I wanted to share it with other people. So I became an educator for active listening. Always happy to provide that to anybody. Some of my other areas of expertise: virtual volunteerism. My role here at the Red completely virtual. I am a full-time work from home employee. So I manage people through my computer across 4 different states. So virtual volunteerism is something that I have gotten to be a little more adept at. Large-scale volunteer program management. I've also worked with some pretty large organizations as well. Program resuscitation and revitalization. I've come into a lot of programs that were kind of just there. They weren't really doing well, or they were faltering, and really trying to revitalize those programs. I love recruitment, onboarding, training strategies, engagement trackers, manual designs. And one of the things that I've really got, especially recently, is volunteer team development. And so putting together team of volunteer leaders to help not only you, but your organization in a more effective and efficient way. So those are just some of my areas of expertise I'm happy to share with you guys. If you feel that's some things that you would like to explore, I would love to talk further. Next slide, please. You can always feel free to reach out. My contact info is there. Of course, we will also have this slide deck posted for our members and get that sent out to you guys as well after. So more than happy to talk. That's just a little bit about me. So we are going to move next actually to Nate, who has to leave a little late. And so we will throw it over to Nate to introduce himself.
Awesome. Well, my name is Nate, or Nathan Gilbert. I actually am the Volunteer Services Manager currently at the Idaho Youth Ranch. I've also been a Volunteer Services Engagement Senior Specialist, as well as a Recruitment Specialist at the Red Cross. So I've had a lot of time at the Red Cross, and that's where Amanda and I met, which was pretty cool. And then as well, I've also worked with Boy Scouts of America. One thing I will say, and it looks like yeah, there we go. I was like, wait a second, where are we at? In regard to the volunteerism, I focus on boots on the ground. So I actually volunteer. I get out in the community as often as I'm available, outside, of course, my busy work schedule. And I focus on opportunities. So I actually am currently deployed with the Red Cross in LA. So I'm helping with the LA fires and them processing their volunteer applications. I volunteer with different organizations. I mean, I always joke with Bryn because I'm on the Just Serve website looking for my own opportunities to serve, as much as I'm looking to post opportunities to serve. So that's kind of a key aspect that I think is important to jump into as a volunteer manager, is to be in the same shoes as the people that we're serving. If you want to go ahead and hit next slide for me. So volunteer services is kind of key for me. Actually, yesterday, Michaela, and you'll be introduced to Michaela here in a bit. But Michaela had an event yesterday, and I actually participated and was able to talk with about 50 people about the importance of individual worth, and when it comes to volunteers, the importance of why volunteers are so key and so vital to our organizations. So in regard to being able to volunteer and work with different people, trying to work with figuring out what works best for volunteers, figure out how anyone and everyone can kind of fit in to whatever they're looking at or needing. So if I have a volunteer that says, hey, here's what I'm able to offer, I have been able to plug them in. And like Amanda said as well, I love that growing opportunity. So I always tell people I like to take elementary level volunteering and take it to collegiate. I want it to be streamlined. I want it to be quick and easy. Again, that bigger picture of what that can look like and how volunteers can actually make a difference, pretty big for organizations. I also am the media manager for IDOVS. And so if there's anything that you would like me to share on our Facebook, on our LinkedIn, any of our social media sites, please let me know. Or if there's anything that you have questions about in regard to our website or any of our general media items, I'd be more than happy to help and support each of you as well in that regard. And I think the next slide has my media at IDOVS information, and that is about me.
Awesome. Thank you, Nate. And we are going to throw it over to Sage.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sage. Like I said, I'm from the Discovery Center of Idaho. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the volunteer coordinator and I have been for the past 3 years. And very similar to Nate, I love the face-to-face interactions with the volunteers. I lovingly get to manage about 30 to 45 volunteers on a regular basis, but sometimes it's upwards of 100 depending on the seasons, which kind of ties into my next slide, which will highlight all sorts of things about me. Should be more information. But I have lots of hobbies. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So I have 10 years of working in nonprofit organizations ever since I was a sophomore in high school in various areas in the community and in the Valley. I have been a member with IDOVS or SWIDOVS for the past 2 years, but on leadership for about a year now. And as someone who struggles with short-term memory, communication is something that's very important to me. I have 13 concussions. So it's a very short-term track up here. So a lot of what you'll see from me and a lot of what I will often focus on and highlight is how important communication is, especially written communication for like legality purposes, but also just clarification purposes and consistency purposes. So if you ever see anything from me or want to communicate with me, I love it in writing just so I can remember that it exists. But yeah, and that's just a little picture of me who used to go to the Discovery Center ever since I was a little girl growing up here at the Treasure Valley, which is crazy because now I walk down that hallway all the time to go to the bathroom and take care of the volunteer HQ, which is an awesome resource that we have here. Next slide, please. So my areas of confidence, which I would also love to equally grow in, and something that I'm currently working on developing a lot with Alive, which is an amazing resource as well. If anyone has any questions about that, I am in their presenters boot camp. I'm also working with their belonging, diversity, and inclusion committee. And I'm participating in a lot of their activities and events because it's an amazing resource, a lot of like what we do here. So definitely, if you have any questions about Alive, let me know. Communication, obviously, have to have a lot of practice with that. Program development, I started in this area with not very much of a program and then had to kind of go from the ground up. So that's been an amazing experience that I love. Event planning is something that I'm currently developing a whole presentation about, so you can look forward to seeing something from me all about event planning and volunteer coordination with that. And then in a similar breath, seasonal retention and change, right? And the marketing that might come with all of those things. I have my degrees in marketing and business management. And then with all of those things, educational content has to be developed with that and training. And then on top of all of that, I just love making friends so much. So if you have any desire to enhance any of those areas or work together on growing our programs in any of these areas and more, just let me know. You can always reach out to me. LinkedIn is a great way to get a hold of me, but also my contact information, which is on the following slide. But if anyone has any questions, please let me know. I love to learn. It's like my favorite thing in the world. So I had the coolest job ever. So just feel free to reach out to my work email or programdevelopment@idovs.org. And I think Jessica's
Wonderful.
next.
Jessica is next. I'm going to be speaking on her behalf. She has been texting to say that she has been struggling to get into the meetings. So she asked me to just fill in for her. So sorry that I am not Jessica, but at least I get the opportunity to brag about her behind her back. She's amazing. She has her certified volunteers, her CBA. I can't remember what the A stands for right this minute. And she is the membership manager at the World Funds.
Volunteer administrator.
Thank you. Yes, I should know that. I really should, but my brain just blanked. So thank you so much, Amanda. It is a great certification if you aren't already exploring it. Yes, the Peregrine Funds World Center for Birds of Prey. She is there and has been there for quite a long while. She has been involved also similar to Amanda in IDOVS, formerly SWIDOVS, since the late 2010s. And she was the outreach and volunteer coordinator with the MK Nature Center prior to her time at the Peregrine Fund. She had also worked for the AmeriCorps Vista program and partnered with the Boise State Service Learning Program. And then she started with the Peregrine Fund in 2016. She has won a few accomplishments. She's been the recipient of the Directors of Volunteer Excellence Award for New Volunteer Manager in 2017. She got her CBA in 2020. She is an Idaho Out of School After School Champion since 2023, or in 2023, she was recognized as that. And then last year, she won the Idaho Philanthropy Day Talented Volunteer Manager Award, which is well deserved. Last year, she joined our team as the membership manager, and she's been doing a great job. Those of you who are members, you've been seeing some things from her lately. So she does have a lot of areas of expertise, but some that she would be happy to share with anyone would be orientation planning. And she does a great job of that because she orients quite a lot of people on a rotating basis, especially teens. She's really great at that. And if you can orient teens, I think you can orient anybody. She's great at developing training tools and building context in training, which is, of course, so important. She does a good job with staff engagement and community building and systems and scheduling, which again, the Peregrine Fund is really critical. And then youth direct service programs. You can tell that she has such a heart for teens and what they have to offer and who they are as contributors. So, and as people. So she is a firm believer, as you can see, that alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And that is obviously the heart of volunteerism in general. If you would like to contact Jessica, here is her contact information. And I know that she's checking her IDOVS account very regularly, so that's a good way to reach her, I think, on a general basis. So there is that.
One other quick thing too about Jessica too is that if you are wondering like, hey, when is my membership coming due or something, she'd be a great person that can help you with that. She's been doing a lot of organizing behind the scenes, making sure that everything is looking good and getting organized as far as our membership document. So she's creating trackers, all kinds of great stuff. She's a great person to reach out to if you're wondering, hey, when do I need to re-up my membership with it? Awesome. And Stephanie, we can see your Teams box there on the screen as well. Showed up. So all right. So Mila was not with us today. So I have the honor of introducing her. And also has been for quite some time. I'm pretty sure it says in here when, oh, maybe it doesn't. Okay, it might be in here. So So Michaela has a little bit about Michaela de Loyola Carkin. She was the junior volunteer coordinator at St. Luke's from 2006 to 2011. Volunteer coordinator at the Ronald McDonald House Charities from 11 to 21. And now serves as the project coordinator at Serve Idaho, working with all those great AmeriCorps folks, doing some really good, awesome stuff there, as well as serving as our IDOVS treasurer since 2018. When it comes to strengths, Michaela says, when chaos ensues, I find alternatives forward. I don't let the challenges derail me. I love the people, developing team culture, finding the best way to work with each person and what their strengths are. When I can help others reach a goal, I find a solution to a problem, build up their confidence, and this is what fills my cup. Experience and expertise. She loves doing events and training, engage committees to bring their individual expertise. Committee members shared sponsor packets that they created for their event, updated for Serve Idaho and this year, and they got $5,600 in sponsorships for their conference, which is amazing. Is along with that too, needing to be really detail oriented, which she says is typically not her go-to, but utilize already developed materials like timelines and rework for her use, which is a really great skill to have. Creating templates that can be used year after year, finding that fine line between clear and consistent communication and over communication is something that she really specializes in. Not overwhelming committees with emails, having communication platforms to save documents, agendas, minutes, and other resources for easy access. Also, to the new program development. Serve Idaho became a VISTA sponsor and create and develop the program from scratch. So she reached out to other commissions with VISTA programs for resources to find out best practices and to be able to implement those. Federal requirements, as we know, are always changing, even now. She, as being a member of the, for those who aren't aware, the Serve Idaho falls under the Idaho Department of Labor, which is a federal program. And so updating those materials, ensuring information is shared with programs or members as applicable, and always improving and getting feedback, asking for suggestions. Says her best advice for events or really any situation is if things aren't going as planned, no one but you knows that. Keep calm, find a solution or an alternative, and then be able to move forward. And then she's got her contact info on the next page there. So please do feel free to reach out to her, especially if you are interested also in learning how AmeriCorps can benefit your organization. Maybe that looks like having an AmeriCorps Vista building capacity in your organization, or becoming a host site, having members provide programming at your organization. She'd be a great person to connect there and to find out what they can do for you. I believe brings then to Stephanie to go ahead and share all about you.
Thank you for your patience as I switch between my screens so I can unmute myself. You all are so kind. Thank you. So yes, I am the secretary. I get the fun job of recording notes and things like that. Actually, I really appreciate being able to do that because having a history of what has happened is really important to me. So I feel like it's a good fit for me. But in my paid time, I am the volunteer manager at the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Idaho. I have been in that role now for going on 4 years, which is really hard. Actually, no, today is the 4-year mark, you guys, for the 4-year mark for me that I have been in that role, and I'm really thankful for that opportunity. I do have volunteer management experience in a few different sectors. And my first setting was the church setting. I was in ministry for a while and got to oversee volunteers in that role, particularly adult volunteers for adult education And so that was a great opportunity for me to learn. I had done a little bit prior to that as an intern, but that I feel like doesn't really count other than that you're thrown into the deep end in a lot of internships. So I don't know that I could say that I learned a lot other than that, changes in positions or who's in a position can really impact the volunteer force. So that's probably what I learned the most in that setting. And then community event settings, I've helped with Story Night is one of the organizations that I partnered with, and I still love that, even though that's not my role any longer. And I've helped in a fundraising event setting for paid roles and unpaid roles. But my main gig right now is in a family support setting, and having volunteers help with families' needs when they come to us as guests. So that's a little bit about that setting, just to give you a sense then of the range of things that our volunteer or that my volunteers over the years have done. I've worked with people who are recurring volunteers, which I think is the most common scenario for many of our organizations, right? We have committed people who come week in and week out and they give their time, and I have experience with that. But then we also might have experience with people who are short-termers or one-timers. We utilize both at the Ronald McDonald House on a regular basis. That's part of our model. And I usually refer to it as a hybrid model because I think that that's just the reality. So I have experience in both, and that is, I think, a helpful thing to explore. So my areas of expertise to share are volunteer empowerment. I really do spend a lot of time thinking about how to make it so that volunteers can be the most self-sufficient as possible, because that helps them to know that they accomplished something, and it shows too that we are ready for them. So that's something that I think a lot about. Onboarding and training go hand in hand with that. So it's really important to me to consider that, and how do people feel equipped for their role. Policy building, I am a believer in policies, but I'm also a believer in gray areas, and knowing when is the time for each is really, for me, part of that conversation. So if that's of interest, I'm always happy to talk through that. I also love databases. I really love them. I think that they do some amazing work for us, and I think we should all, if we're not using our databases to the fullest, be exploring what's next to do that, because they are such a helpful resource. But there's idiosyncrasies to every database, right? So if you are trying to figure out how to look for what yours can do for you, think of me. And then building staff buy-in. I don't know for you guys on your teams, but for me on every team I've ever been in, there's that conversation of, are volunteers in the way, or are they really contributing? And I really want our team, our paid team, no matter where I'm working, to see volunteers and how much they have to offer, but to be aware of the realities of working with an unpaid team. So that doesn't mean that they don't have anything, or that there's no challenges, but those challenges are always worth it. So I think a lot about that. And then I'm a big believer in pep talks. If you were around me day to day, you'd know I give myself a lot of pep talks. It's one of the things I think people learn about me pretty quickly in working with me on our team, is that I walk around saying, we can do it, or I can do it. So if you need a pep talk your own self, or if you want to talk about how I've built that into my own self and my own thinking, I'm happy to share. If you want to contact me, you can contact me at my IDOVS email address, and my office phone is listed there as well. I am also, I think, on basically most of the main social media channels: Facebook, LinkedIn. I think that's Instagram, although I don't really do a lot on there. So yes, if you want to be in contact with me, sure, reach out, and I would be happy to connect. So that's that. If it's okay with you, Amanda, I'm going to roll straight into our next agenda item, unless you have any other wrap-up things that you want to share.
Go for it, please.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted to take advantage of the moment to talk a little bit about some of the hard work that's still happening behind the scenes to help us fully deliver to our promises to our members. And since Jessica's here, I get to brag behind her back, as I said, but she has been working really hard. For those of you who have already upped your membership for this year, and I'm apologize, I didn't look ahead to see how many of our pool who's here today are already members versus who's not. But one of the things that is really important to our leadership team right now is to deliver on the things that that make it so that you want to be a member and that you know that that membership is worth something to you. So just in case you have any questions about what members receive, you have access to IDOVS meetings. Moving forward, we will have a unique link for each leadership or each meeting. And so we'll be sending that out to our members. So make sure that you are on our list if you want to be attending those. But then you also have, after the meetings, access to slide decks and video recordings so that if you have to miss a meeting, you can still see it. We've been working on that. In fact, just last week, Jessica did send out access to all of our members. So if you are a member and you did not receive an access invite to our files, then please let us know and we'll fix that for you. We also really believe in the value of peer-to-peer learning and networking. There's so much that I think those of us who've been with IDOVS for a while, hopefully we've all seen this as being a relevant gift, right? That we get to learn from one another and to network and learn, as Nate was talking about too, right? That he's looking for other opportunities to volunteer, or we might look for ways that we can partner, or times when a volunteer isn't a good fit at our organization, but we want to send them somewhere else. So that networking can be so key for our growth in all ways. We also send out a monthly newsletter that has events and opportunities and news. Sometimes there are position openings that you might be interested in. That's part of our newsletter as well. As I talked about, this collaboration with partner organizations and the ways that we get to learn from one another. There are opportunities for leadership. So we do have our positions that we've shared today, but we also have at-large leadership positions. So if one of your goals is to grow in leadership and to think about how nonprofits work together. We're a small team. And so if that's of interest to you to talk more about that, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. And we'd be happy to talk more about what that leadership could look like. And also building professional advocacy, right? Our CVAs, other ways that we can grow. We want to be advocates for our profession and the unique things that we have. Those of us who've been volunteer leaders for a while can attest, right? That we see the value of what we do, and that when there's a gap in that, things don't go as well, right? So we want to be good advocates for our profession. Networking, and a platform to share announcements, right? There's things that happen that we get to share, like last month when we got to talk about the event at the Idaho Center that had Elizabeth Smart as a guest speaker. So those kinds of things that we get to share with one another. And then we highlighted last month the valuable partnership that we have with Alive, which is a national organization that we are members of. And so we have access to learning opportunities. So if you missed hearing about that last month, we do have a video recording of that so that you, so let us know and we'll be happy to share that with you if you want to know more about what that particular component is. If you are not yet a member, just a quick explanation of how you can. If you go to our website, which is idovs.org, there's this Become a Member tab, and then below is the form to fill out. It's not complicated. There's not that many fields, but we would love to have you join us and be part of all the things that we're doing. So that is my quick explanation and plug for membership. these 2 months, Amanda can correct me if there's more to say about this or just expand. But these last 2 months, we've really wanted for those of you who attend to get a good understanding. We don't want you to feel like we're blindsiding you in any way with where we're going or what we're doing. Because if you do join us, we want it to be with open eyes and with expectations that we can fulfill for you. So if you have any lingering questions, you can ask them today or feel free to contact us. And we would love to connect with you about those questions. So that's what I have to say at this time. So back to Amanda.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Really appreciate you bringing that to light. Yeah, absolutely. Membership gets you just so much more than even just these meetings. It gets you that chance to connect. You can send us job openings or volunteer opportunities that you're looking to fill, things like that. And we can put those out to the people who are members of this group to reach far and wide and to get you the help and resources and connections that you need. So we are here to serve you guys. And I've been trying to get things to pull up here. My Wi-Fi has been really spotty this morning. So I did want to real quick expound on that Alive partnership that we have just, as Stephanie mentioned, that we talked about last week. And I'm going to try and share my screen. See if this. Okay, are we in the... Oh, darn it. Okay. So I was going to try and show you the Alive website you could go to, but since that appears to not be working, my apologies. So you can always go. So as a member organization of Alive, that gives you guys access to things as well. So they are a national organization, reaching across the whole U.S. and with lots of opportunities, which is why we partner with them. They've done a really great work. So you can always go to volunteeralive.org and you can check out their calendar. So they have resources, they have support events. Some things are open to just people who are specifically members Live, who have paid a separate membership fee. However, the events calendar, you can always go and view that. You guys as members of get to attend the Alive Academies for free, which they have every month. They're really great opportunities to get some continuing education, some resources, things like that, and to expand your network. So you can always go and check that out. And I want to say below then, if you scroll down, well, there's your events calendar too under programs as well. So, but you can see the Alive Academies there. And you just mentioned that you are a member of IDOVS and you can, when you register, and you can attend those for free, which is super awesome. So be checking that out and let's take advantage of that awesome partnership that we have with them too. I wanted to go into just a couple more things here as well. I just wanted to let you guys know that we are working on a really fun event for May, a fundraiser kind of thing coming up. And so basically it's inviting friends and family to come and eat pizza. We're trying to work this out with Mod Pizza to have a little fundraiser. And so a portion of the proceeds will go to IDOVS, which is super awesome. So we'll have some more information about that as we get those details finalized. Let's mention too that next month's meeting, also on the 20th, but of March, we will be talking about online and in-person orders are applicable for that Mod Pizza fundraiser. That's awesome. Cool. So we also wanted to let you guys know about March 20th, our meeting then. We are going to have a panel of some really awesome folks from Boise State, and we are working on securing a person from Stephanie, I believe it's from U of I.
Oh, also Boise State, actually. Yeah. So
also Boise State. Okay. So we're getting
people.
Perfect. Thank you. So we're getting some really great folks from Boise State to come in as a panel and to discuss how to engage university level students in volunteer opportunities through your organization, the different things that students can do for you, and the things that you can do to partner with places like Boise State and different universities to fulfill some of those needs that you might have at your organizations. And so we do have confirmations from Boise State Service Learning as well as the Office of Student Involvement there. And so those folks will be there, and we are working on securing one more person to hopefully have a really great, robust panel. And we hope that you guys will be able to attend. We'll get that info out to you just as soon as we can, and make sure that you guys have access to that link in those meetings. And of course, you know, we always, like Stephanie said, we do love to have people who want to be part of our leadership. Unfortunately, one of our founding members, Shirley Conger, has had to take a step back from being part of this amazing organization that she helped establish way back in the 90s. And she's done some fantastic work. We love Shirley, but she's had to take a step back for health reasons, unfortunately, which, you know, happens. So we do have at-large positions open. And so if you are interested in learning a little bit more about that, you know, maybe even padding that resume just a little bit, you know, with some leadership opportunities, we would love to chat with you about that. So now at this point, we would love to open up the floor to you guys for some time that you can share about things going on at your organizations. If you have volunteer needs, if you have some questions, or even if you have an area of expertise that you would love to share with this group here today, we would love to open the floor to you guys now and to give you that time to share with us. Well, I can go ahead and start it off then. So we are looking for a few volunteer opportunities to fill at the Red Cross. We are especially looking for volunteers for Ada and Canyon counties who might be interested in helping check in donors at blood drives. Particularly the time we're looking at is at a 6:30 a.m. kind of shift, which I know is super early. But if you got somebody who maybe you're not sure how to place and they're pretty flexible, available on times and willing to do some things like that, I would love to chat with them. Maybe they might not be a good fit for you, but they could be for us. And so would love to chat with you if you know somebody who might be a good fit for that. Oh, and Bryn just put into the chat, Global Youth Service Day is April 25 through 27th. If you have volunteer projects you want to share on Just Serve that are focused on youth, Bryn could help you with that. And you can also share those on Just Serve, which is a really great volunteer recruitment and to target types of people. So it's really great.
Just a plug, if you're not already advertising opportunities with Just Serve, this is, Bryn is a great contact if you're not sure who your representative would be. One of the things that I love is that they will assign a person or sometimes two people to you who will be your contact and can help update. I know my people, the Valentines, they are a lovely couple and they actually update things without me even needing to tell them most of the time, because they often go to our website and just see what's there and see if there's anything new. And by the time that I contact them, they've already done it. So they're amazing advocates for us. So if you don't already have a relationship with them, just this is my plug to go ahead and establish that. So.
Awesome. And just put some info there for you guys.
I'll mention we are doing really well on our snack volunteers and our what we call help around the house volunteers. It's a really easy way to get connected to us if people want to be connected. But we're looking for some more meal volunteers. In fact, we just had a donation of some produce, which is very rare for us to have fresh produce, primarily potatoes and apples that we have on hand that need to be used up. So if you know anybody who loves to cook for a crowd and would be able to come in for especially breakfast, or we have an afternoon freezer meal shift that someone could come and prep food. You get your kitchen to yourself. So if you know anybody who's interested in that, send them my way and I will be happy to talk through some logistics. So yeah, that's my plug for something that we need. I will also say if you are in a spot where you're looking ahead to Volunteer Appreciation Month, this is a good time to be thinking about that. You know, and what you're going to need to do. So if you need to brainstorm, you know, feel free to reach out to any of the leadership for that. I think I'm not speaking out of turn to say we'd love to talk with you about that because we all know the value of volunteer appreciation. And so excited for it's Deer Flat, right? That has your volunteer appreciation next month. So you guys are doing it early, way to be on top of it. Yes. So yeah. And Sage would love to brainstorm with you.
I'll throw this out to any here. Speaking of Volunteer Appreciation Month coming up in April, which we say month, but technically it's a week. But I mean, I'm sure most of us probably celebrate. So, is there anything that anyone here has that is maybe unique or something that you're really proud of that you've done to appreciate your volunteers during your time in your roles? Wow, nobody's anything to appreciate their volunteers. I find that hard to believe.
I just feel like I'm doing all the talking, but I can share. We have milestone recognition that we do each April for people who have reached the 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year. We start doing every 5 years after the first year that we acknowledge, and we have different gifts that we have delineated for that. So and try and accommodate, some fellows might not appreciate jewelry, but ladies usually do. So things like that we have a kind of a list of the things that we pick from for milestones. And then for the holidays, I get to recognize all of my volunteers if they're a part of our core recurring team. My husband for 4 years now has created a personalized ornament that he makes, and he custom makes it for me, and then I get to give it to my team just as a way to say thank you. And we know how valuable that people are as part of our organization. And then something that we've done a couple of times now is that we have different staff members who will take responsibility for a day of that Volunteer Appreciation Week, which is usually encompassing the 20th, whenever that week happens. and we have a budget, but different people decide each day what it's going to be. And it's usually something that's corny. When the first year that I did it, my team said, we do not know what we'd be without, where we'd be without you. And then we gave them like guru donuts to go with that little placard. So cheesy, every day is different, but that's been a fun way to get all of our team engaged in thanking our volunteers. And that's for whoever comes that day. So it's not specific to our recurring volunteers. It can be just anybody who's there that day. We want to thank them. So yeah, those are my ideas.
I can share something. I hold off speaking, I guess, because I'm like very new to the volunteer realm. So, but I'll share. Within Family Advocates, we are putting on a volunteer appreciation event, kind of like a thank you for we have a ton of ongoing volunteers within our programs that kind of stay with us for a long period of time, like a year to 2 years, depending on what they're working on, or we've had them for more than that, like tons of years. So we're super grateful for our volunteers, and a lot of them don't really love, like, I guess, super big recognition, like a placard or like different gifts. But so we're putting together kind of like a dinner, outdoor thing. Hopefully in April, it'll be warm. So it'll be nice weather. But I think we're going to be renting out a food truck, and we'll have like outdoor lawn games to play, and for all the volunteers to be able to interact with each other. And so it should be pretty fun. I'm excited to see it all come together. And yeah, so that's on coming up.
I could jump in
She
too.
That's so cool. Yes.
So I'm also fairly new, and I think we could definitely recognize our volunteers a bit more. I mean, we do as like when we see them, but not necessarily like bigger things. But last year we updated a volunteer bulletin board that's present at our visitor center. So it was pretty outdated, and just giving it some new life. And we had a little section of thank yous for our volunteers. I think goals for this year is that we want to do more like enrichment activities with that. We invite our volunteers, and then it could be like a training or a presentation, and then a follow-up could be a social, because a lot of our volunteers wanted more interactive or gaining community within themselves, because some of them, they're doing things on their own, or they're part of a crew, but they don't get to meet a different volunteer group. And then we have a newsletter that we send out quarterly, and we were thinking of doing a volunteer spotlight or something to highlight volunteers specifically. And then we also do appreciation and recognition events. So a recognition next month, and then an appreciation in the summertime.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Well, that's so great. Some cool stuff. Anyone else have anything they wanted to share? Well, I can share one cool thing that I heard. So, of course, I do some different things too for my volunteers. One of the difficulties is that, I have the dates with volunteers, and it's I can't always get to see them all, which is a kind of bummer sometimes. But the Red Cross has deep pockets, which is fortunate, but totally understand that it's not available to many organizations. And so one of the things that I did early on with one of my more local organizations that didn't have deep pockets was I worked for the rescue mission. And so I asked one of our cooks if they would dinner for our volunteers, and that they would come and then we would serve them So we had a spaghetti meal, and I went into our warehouse and found some random that had been donated that I put together trophies. So like for our kitchen, like our outstanding kitchen volunteer, I put together like a spatula on a block of wood, like you know, some cool different kitchen utensils with a little plaque on it, you know, and kind of made trophies for things like using the things that we had for, you know, pretty much $0. So you know, there's all creative fun things. Another thing that I just heard actually recently from one of my counterparts that is back in like Kentucky or something like that, I think, was that they decided to put together a little volunteer appreciation. They got they have their big UPS has its like headquarters based there. So they got UPS to donate a tour to get their volunteers together and go on a tour of the UPS headquarters. You know, so finding some cool different local areas to donate, you know, but ways that you can take your volunteers on tours or fun things like that to kind of and I thought that was really cool. I was thinking like, wow, around here we've got like Scentsy or Amazon or things like that, you know, so some pop here in the Treasure Valley of some things of that nature too. So there are some things too that can be done for little or no money as well. And sometimes it's creativity that is warranted in those situations, a lot of creativity. But you know, we are always here to also help you guys and try to support you in those ideas as well. Last little chance if anyone else wants to share any appreciation ideas.
Well, one of my things is I'm always trying to get the staff who utilize the volunteers involved in appreciation projects because, you know, I don't have the bandwidth to do all of the people that we have. So one year I printed out the thank you cards and put out a sheet and had all of my different staff around the whole organization write thank yous, especially hopefully to those that they worked with one-on-one. So I just tried to engage with like all my staff to appreciate all my volunteers. So that actually took a little more work than I anticipated, but just tracking and making sure that everybody got a card. But that was one thing I did one year.
Oh, that's awesome, Karen. That's so great. Yeah, definitely getting the staff involved is awesome. So cool. That actually reminds me too, like one thing that I did my first year at the Red Cross was, you know, of course, like I've got volunteers all over and I don't see them, like I mentioned, you know, so one thing that I did early on, which we were still kind of in COVID times at that point, was I asked as many staff as I possibly could get in touch with to send a picture of themselves holding up a sign that said "Thank you, volunteers." And so I ended up getting actually a great response from a lot of different staff members doing that. I put it together in a little video collage and sent that out to the volunteers so that everybody could put this together with music. And it took a little bit of time, but you know, we did if it worked. So one of the other things I just did actually that I'm doing tonight too is that we are doing a little event where we are showcasing volunteers and staff's pets. So had them send in pictures of their pets with little information about them, what their pet superpower is, you know, and put that together into a video. And we're gonna go through and acknowledge all the awesome pets that belong to everybody, volunteers and staff. So we're gonna do that tonight too, kind of a little we love our pets and we love our volunteers kind of thing. Really cool. Awesome ideas, guys. All right. Well, if anybody has anything else to share real quick, now's the time. And that can be anything too. If you've got some needs, if you have questions, or maybe a situation you're trying to figure out how to navigate or anything like that, this is a great group for that.
Well, I can jump in. Well, Melissa already mentioned a lot of things for Dear Flood, but I guess something that I also wanted to mention is that we have awards. We have 2 awards that we announce at the recognition party, which are the Volunteer of the Year and the Rookie of the Year. And then we have staff be a part of it. And there's like a whole voting process, and the people that are nominated, they're told that they were nominated. And yeah, I think it's a very nice thing. And it's not only based on like how many hours you have completed, but also, you know, how the energy that you bring to the refuge and the things that you do, and how people, like how much people really appreciate what each volunteer does. And I think it's a nice thing.
That's awesome, Camila. Thank you.
I can share a situation or I guess a challenge I would love feedback and advice on. So I started as the volunteer person here at Family Advocates like in August last year. So I inherited a program and different ways of how things have been done. And I've tried lots of new things. Some of them have flopped. A lot of them have flopped. But some of them have worked. But I guess some of the challenges, which has been good, you know, it's been kind of fun to try and like breathe new life and try new things, even though I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning. So I guess one of the challenges that I've observed is just kind of the how to get teams like other staff members and within our programs to, I guess, take on volunteers and be excited to work with volunteers. I think we have a lot of great potential and opportunity for volunteers to be a part and to take part. But I think for me, at least, looking at the different opportunities, a lot of it does come back to if the staff we have are willing to make it happen and work with me to build a program from the ground. And I think sometimes, at least in my team, there's a lot of like, we don't have time. I don't see how that will work. We're already doing this and it might be dysfunctional, but we're doing it. So are there any suggestions, anybody that's observed that in their teams and maybe have some ideas of how to, I guess maybe change the culture and foster more volunteerism within the team? Like, I'm not going to force anybody to take on volunteers, but how to, I guess, encourage and help them to see that it could be good. Yeah. So any thoughts, any suggestions?
First thought is actually based on my recent experience. We have, as a general rule, not had specialized volunteers who are working with like one person or one department. But I am a single person department and I have needed more than myself to meet some needs. And so I am thankful. I feel like there's timing to be said, something for that, in that I had a front desk volunteer who had some great background in coding and just the personality that I was like, he's not going to bulldoze anything. He's not going to overrun anything. He's going to be a really good person who's a good fit for our organization and for working with me. And so he morphed from front desk into essentially doing support work for me specifically. And that had never been done in our organization before, but because I was the tester, right, it's my problem to figure out. Then, you know, we didn't set a timeline. I made a job description. I did all of the things, right, so that he and I could have a way to measure success. And it was so successful that now he's been stolen from me. someone else is using him on a different project. And I think part of it was that I was willing to do that for myself and kind of set the tone. And then that we gave boundaries to it, right? A way to keep having that conversation of like, are we still meeting it? And I think sometimes when people imagine that they don't have time, it's that they can't imagine what success looks like. And so they feel like they're going to spend their whole time identifying, oh, here's what we need, or here's, I got to go back and clean up after the person. So there is a little bit of work to define the role and to do the orientation and training piece. So if you can work with each team about like, what would success look like? And how can we make sure that you do as little oversight, right? There's going to be some front end, but like, as you dream up what that looks like, let's write that job description together. Let's figure that out together. And sometimes it's modeling it yourself the first time, right? And which can be a challenge, but yeah, that's my thought.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Building a culture of volunteerism is very tricky sometimes and very difficult. Yeah, and like Stephanie was saying, and like Sage said in the chat, sometimes you have to. One of the things that I always love to do, especially when I'm coming into a brand new program, is I meet face to face with those players, those staff players, and I sit down and I take that time to talk to them and say, what are your needs? What do your needs look like? How can I help support you using volunteers in meeting your goals and your needs that you have? And really showing them that they can find and that takes that responsibility and some of that extra work off of them by having somebody who can help, like a volunteer or something like that, who can help with responsibilities. And so I loved being able to just sit down with those folks, and a lot of time to build that trust. Unfortunately, some people are just going to be stuck in their ways. There's no two ways about it. But if you're able to sit down, and meet with those people and really focus that conversation on how can I help you? How can I find people that can support you? Things off of your plate. How can I make this better for you so that you can function more efficiently and be better? They start to see it's something that can help them and not hinder them. That's just my experience, at least. Anybody else? Any insight or feedback that you'd like to share who maybe have had some issues in this area? And of course, if you're able to identify too those higher up key players, to show them the value of what you're doing and how it's going to make things better, getting that buy-in from those higher ups is so important, because when you get those staff members that are just resistant and just unwilling, it really helps to have that higher up person who can back you up and help support and show that, hey, this is important, and this is important for our organization, our mission as a whole. And so it can really go a long way to have that extra level of support when you come up against that wall.
I was going to also say, I think that's where matchmaking can come into play too, right? If someone describes what they want, say, hey, give me a day or two to think about who of my volunteers might be a good fit, right? That way you're building some trust and like that you're not just going to throw anybody at them, right? But that you really do want to find them the right support, that communication piece that's always so vital for all of us, right? But yeah, and just being open and transparent that like, I want to give you the right person and it might take me a little bit. So is that okay with you too? Right? Because again, building that confidence that you're not just going to throw the next person to walk in off the street at them might help too.
I think, Karen, I thought I saw you come off of mute. Did you want to add anything?
Well, it's funny because actually I was thinking I had kind of come from a different way, and I actually stopped imposing volunteers on people, if that makes sense, because there was sort of a bad taste in some people's mouths of being like, well, these people are here and I have to work with them and this is such a hassle. So I kind of stopped doing that. And it's taken a little while, but actually now I have people bringing me volunteers to onboard and process and stuff. And so they're actually going out finding people, recruiting them to work with them, and then bringing them to me. So that, I mean, we still have a long way to go. There's still a lot of resistance, but it's been interesting. I'm actually busier now processing and vetting volunteers than I was when I first started, because the staff are actually bringing them to me, which was interesting.
Karen, I think that's actually really amazing, because it says that you have done a lot of work to convey the value of volunteers. And I think you're exactly right that we don't want to push anybody down anybody's throat, because that's going to yield some harsh feelings and possibly break some relationships that don't need to be broken. But the fact that staff is coming to you says that you actually did a really good job, and that people see what volunteers have to offer in your organization. So you've been doing a good job on that.
Thanks.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Really great suggestions. Thank you, guys. And so, man, it's been such a wonderful time here connecting and talking. Great. And so, and know that IDOVS is here, to help. And so, we can connect you with other people. We can do what we need to do to make sure that you have access to resources. And we're trying to build some things out too, where you have networking options and things like that that are more available to you at any time. So, well, we're getting kind of toward the end here. And so if there's any last things that anyone wants to throw out, any things going on that you want to mention, stuff like that, while we wrap up, give you a second here to do that if you want.
I do have a quick question, because I know
Please.
I saw that a lot of the, I guess, like board members said that you have experience or expertise in like trainings and training tools and everything, and we are trying to change up our training, especially for like from this host. And I don't know if who maybe I could reach out to ask for help with that.
Absolutely. And Camila, I've actually done a little bit of that too. When I came into the YMCA, that was a big thing that I overhauled, was our training practices. And so that was my role before it was at the YMCA. And so I'd be happy to chat with you about those different things that I did.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes,
Drop
and
my
just a reminder,
contact info again into the.
Yeah, and also it's on our website. So anytime you want to contact any of us, feel free to drop there. Because yeah, I do think almost everybody that has done a lot with training. I think Amanda and Jessica are two of our best on the leadership team at kind of thinking creatively about that. So yeah.
Like I just said, we all address it differently. It just depends on the work for each person. But absolutely, I'd love to chat with you a little bit about that. Anything else real quick before we end? Awesome. All right. Well, just a reminder that March 20th, same same place. We will have that virtual panel on engaging university students in volunteer service. And so we would love to have you guys attend. Feel free to invite folks that you know too, people from your organizations or other volunteer managers you might know. Even if they're not members, we would love to have them sit in and see if this is something that would like to be part of. So do feel free to invite, and we will get the info sent out to you guys here pretty soon for that, as soon as we finish getting all our confirmations. And so you guys are awesome today. We love having you here. We love to chat with you. Again, feel free to reach out to us if you need, and we'll give you guys back about 5 minutes of your time. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Amanda, thank you so much. You did a great job sticking with it despite all your internet.
Thank you, Stephanie. You've been awesome.
Yeah, team effort, right? That's the beauty
I think it's
of
actually,
a team.
it might be working now, but I don't know. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully your internet comes back today in full force, but that's really irritating. So, yeah.
I'm gonna just yell from the other room. It's like, okay.
What a fun time.
Recording over and load it up and all that stuff as soon as I can. So
Perfect. Thank you
I'll
so
talk to you
much.
later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.